You know, when I look back at life, one truth always stands out. Nothing worthwhile comes without risk. Think about it for a second. Every single breakthrough, every single innovation, every single success story in history has been fueled by someone willing to step into the unknown, to risk failing, and to risk being judged. Nelson Mandela once said, "There is no passion to be found playing small," and he was right. Playing small, settling for less, keeping yourself in a safe little bubble that's not living, that's simply existing. I want you to imagine your own life for a moment. Maybe you're in school, maybe you're working a job, maybe you're still trying to figure things out. How many times have people told you, make sure you've got something to fall back on? I've heard that advice too. It sounds safe, right? But I never understood it. If you're going to fall, why fall back? Why retreat to something that doesn't light you up? Why retreat to a safe option that leaves you unfulfilled? If I'm going to fall, I want to fall forward into growth, forward into learning, forward into becoming more. Because when you fall forward, at least you can see what you're about to hit, and you can pick yourself up with a little more wisdom, a little more clarity, and a little more courage to keep moving. The truth is, without consistency, without that willingness to keep showing up, you'll never finish what you start. And here's the thing about consistency, it doesn't come from talent, it comes from passion. When you're passionate about something, when you've got fire in your belly, when you know deep down that this is what you're meant to do, you keep going. You don't stop when it gets hard. You don't retreat when you get embarrassed. You push, you risk, and you keep stepping forward. There's a famous old IQ puzzle, 9 dots, and the challenge is to connect them with just 5 lines without lifting your pencil. The only way to do it is to think outside the box, to literally extend your lines beyond the boundary. That's life in a nutshell. If you keep yourself confined to the box of safety, you'll never connect the dots of your own potential. Don't be afraid to dream big. Don't be afraid to fail big, because dreams without goals remain fantasies, and failure is simply the bridge to success. Look at athletes, inventors, creators. Reggie Jackson, one of the greatest baseball players in history, struck out more than 600 times. That's the most strikeouts in the history of the game. But that's not what people remember. They remember his home runs. They remember the moments he showed up under pressure and delivered. The same goes for Thomas Edison. He failed over and over and over again. 1,000 experiments that didn't work. But it only took the 1,001st attempt to give the world the light bulb. If Edison had been afraid to fail, if he had quit after the 10th or 100th or even the 500th attempt, the world might have waited decades longer for something that now powers every single home and city in the world. That's the power of falling forward. Every failure becomes a stepping stone. Every setback carries a seed of knowledge, and if you stay consistent, if you stay passionate, if you keep taking risks, those failures stop being scars and start becoming stepping stones. And here's something we don't talk about enough. You will fail. I don't care who you are. I don't care how smart, how talented, how connected. You're going to fail at some point in your life. You're going to embarrass yourself. You're going to have moments where you feel like you're not enough. And that's not a negative message. That's life. The question isn't whether you'll fail. The question is, what are you going to do after? Will you shrink back? Will you retreat to safe? Or will you fall forward using that experience to get better, sharper, stronger? Because here's the truth, failure is not the opposite of success. It is a part of success. You cannot separate the two. Every person you admire, every story that inspires you, every leader, every innovator, they failed more times than you can count. The difference is, they didn't stop at the failure. I remember hearing a story once about an actor who auditioned for a Broadway role. Perfect fit, except for one thing: he couldn't sing. He failed miserably. He didn't get the job, but he didn't quit either. He showed up for the next audition, and the next, and the next. He fell forward, and decades later, he returned to that exact same theater, not to audition this time, but to star in a Broadway play. The same stage that once rejected him became the same stage that crowned him with success. That's the rhythm of life. You'll be rejected. You'll be told no. You'll fall flat on your face. But if you keep moving forward, those very places of rejection can one day become the very stages of your breakthrough. And I want you to really think about this. Risk is not just about jobs, careers, or money. Risk is about your identity. It's about who you choose to be. It's about whether you're willing to step into the fullness of your potential. Because if you never risk, you never truly live. If you play it safe, you might avoid some pain, sure. But you'll also avoid the passion, the meaning, and the fulfillment that comes only when you stretch yourself beyond your comfort zone. So, here's the challenge for you. Stop worrying about falling back. Stop clinging to safety nets that only keep you stuck in mediocrity. Choose to fall forward. Choose to risk failure. Choose to risk looking foolish, because that risk is the price of living a life that matters. When we talk about failure, it's easy to see it as some big dramatic event. But more often than not, failure comes in small doses. It shows up in the rejections, in the no's, in the doors that close when you thought they'd open wide. And those little moments of defeat, they sting, don't they? You prepare, you dream, you walk in confident, and then suddenly, reality hits you in the face. That's when most people quit. But I want you to see rejection differently. I want you to see it as training. Early in my career, I remember reading a story about an audition, the kind of opportunity that felt perfect for the actor. It was on Broadway, a dream role, everything seemed aligned. Except for one detail, he couldn't sing. He gave it everything he had, but he walked out without the job. Now, imagine if he had let that rejection define him. Imagine if he had said, well, I guess this isn't for me. I guess I'm not cut out for this. His story would have ended right there. Instead, he prepared for the next audition and the one after that and the one after that. He prayed, he persisted, and he stayed in the game. And you know what? 30 years later, he returned to that exact same theater not to audition, but to perform as the lead in a Broadway play. Think about that for a second. The very place of his rejection became the very stage of his redemption. That's what life does. It tests you. It asks you, how bad do you want it? And most people answer by giving up when it gets tough. But the ones who rise, the ones who create impact, are the ones who keep going no matter how many times they hear no. There's an old saying, hang around the barbershop long enough, and sooner or later, you're going to get a haircut. What does that mean? It means persistence wins. Show up long enough, stay in the game long enough, and eventually, life will cut you a break. But most people never stay long enough to see that happen. They give up right before the door opens. They quit right before the opportunity comes. Now, here's the uncomfortable truth. You will fail, you will lose, you will embarrass yourself, you will be told you're not good enough, and sometimes you'll even believe it. But those moments don't define you unless you let them. The real definition of who you are is found in what you do after the failure. Think about Thomas Edison again. 1,000 failed experiments. Imagine the frustration. Imagine the doubt. People probably laughed at him, told him he was wasting his life, but he wasn't failing, he was learning 1,000 ways that didn't work. And on the 1,001st, he gave the world light. Failure wasn't the end, it was the process. Reggie Jackson, the baseball legend, struck out more than anyone in history. Do you think he cared about those strikeouts? No, because he also hit enough home runs to be remembered as one of the greatest. You don't remember the failures, you remember the moments when you kept going despite them. And here's something powerful to consider. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. Let that sink in. If you go through life without ever failing, it means you never took a real shot. You played it safe. You stayed in the shallow end. But to get something you've never had, you've got to do something you've never done. You've got to put yourself on the line. I want you to imagine this. One day, you're on your deathbed. Standing around you are ghosts, the ghosts of your unfulfilled potential. The ghost of the book you never wrote, the ghost of the business you never started, the ghost of the ideas you never acted on, the ghost of the talents you never developed, and those ghosts are angry. They say, we came to you, you could have brought us to life, but now we have to go to the grave with you. That image should shake you. Because the truth is, most people will die with more potential in the grave than they ever released into the world. Don't let that be your story. Don't let your gifts die with you. So let's be clear, rejection is not failure. Rejection is redirection. Every closed door teaches you something. Every no moves you closer to the right yes. Every mistake adds a new tool to your toolkit, but you've got to stick around long enough, stay hungry long enough, and keep believing long enough to see the reward. And let me add, this failure teaches humility. It reminds you that you don't know it all, that you need others, that you have room to grow. It opens you up to feedback, to learning, to becoming better. Failure humbles you, but it also strengthens you. It builds resilience, grit, and character in ways that success never could. The point is this: your gifts, your training, your education, those things matter. But what really determines your future is your guts. Do you have the guts to fail? Do you have the courage to step out when you don't have guarantees? Do you have the persistence to keep showing up when others would have quit? Because the truth is, success doesn't belong to the most talented. It doesn't belong to the smartest. Success belongs to the ones who refuse to give up. The ones who see rejection as redirection. The ones who keep falling forward over and over until the world has no choice but to notice. Sometimes the best way to find out where you're going is by going through the wrong turns. Life isn't a straight road. It twists, it bends, it throws you off course, and it forces you to adapt. And often, those detours lead you to the place you were meant to be all along. I want you to think about this. Every single one of us has something unique, a gift, a talent, a strength. Some of you are incredible leaders, able to inspire people to rally behind a vision. Some of you are problem solvers, able to see solutions when others only see obstacles. Some of you have the gift of patience or kindness or the ability to serve others with love. It doesn't matter if your gift is big or small. What matters is what you do with it. See, success is not about how much you have. It's about how much you use what you already have. You might have money or you might not. You might have connections or you might not. But you do have something: your time, your energy, your focus, your persistence. And the real question is, are you going to use it, or are you going to let it die inside you? Because here's the truth: the world needs what you have, it really does. The world needs your courage, your creativity, your willingness to step up. Think about it: there are communities in need, families in need, people in pain, industries waiting for innovation, problems waiting for solutions. And the answer doesn't come from someone else. The answer comes from you. But here's where most people get stuck. They wait. They wait for the perfect time. They wait for the perfect opportunity. They wait for certainty, for guarantees, for proof that it's going to work. But let me tell you something: the perfect time doesn't exist. There will never be a moment when everything lines up, when the stars align, when the conditions are just right. Success belongs to the people who start before they're ready, who step out even when they're scared, who use what they have right now instead of waiting for more. Sometimes the very failure you fear is the failure that shapes you. I've seen people who thought they were going one way, only to fail miserably, and that failure pointed them to something greater. Life will guide you, but only if you're willing to take risks, to trust the process, and to keep moving forward. And I'll be honest with you, it won't always be easy. You will fall, you will stumble, you will doubt yourself. There will be moments when you feel completely lost, but that's okay, because falling doesn't mean you've failed. Falling means you're in the game. Falling means you're moving. Falling means you're living. The only real failure is refusing to get back up. I want you to imagine standing years from now, looking back at your life. Will you be proud of the risks you took, the challenges you embraced, the way you used your gifts to serve others? Or will you regret the times you played it safe, the dreams you never chased, the talents you let go to the grave? Remember that haunting picture, the ghosts of your potential, standing around your bed, angry that you never gave them life. You get to decide whether you leave this world full of regrets or empty because you poured everything you had into it. And let's be real, the world doesn't just need your success. It needs your contribution. It needs your passion. It needs your commitment. Whether you're a nurse, a teacher, a builder, a business owner, an artist, a parent, whatever your path, you have something the world needs. And the way you honor that gift is by using it fully, fearlessly, and relentlessly. So here's the message I want to leave you with. Never hold back. Never settle for less than what you're capable of. Never wait for permission to chase your dreams, because life is short and the time is now. Don't fall back. Don't play it safe. Fall forward. You've heard me say it again and again. Failure isn't the opposite of success, it's part of success. Every failure, every rejection, every setback is simply one more step toward your breakthrough. So don't be discouraged, don't quit. Give it everything you've got, your time, your talent, your passion, your persistence. And when you fall, because you will fall forward. Now I want you to take this to heart, not just as a nice idea, but as a commitment. Promise yourself right now that you will not let fear or failure stop you. Promise yourself that you will step up, take risks, and use your gifts. Promise yourself that when your time comes, there will be no ghosts of regret standing around your bed, only the satisfaction that you lived fully, courageously, and without holding back. So here's my call to action for you. Starting today, stop waiting and start doing. Take one bold step toward your dream. Make that call, write that plan, launch that project, have that conversation. Whatever it is, do it now. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Create the moment by taking action. Because the truth is simple, the people who change the world are not the ones who play it safe. They're the ones who dare to fall forward, and that can be you if you choose it. So go out there, dream big, take risks, fall forward, and live the life you were meant to live.